What's Crack-A-Lackin? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
What's Crack-A-Lackin? Welcome into another episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleazebomb. Today, we are going to dive into my top 5 buy low or kind of buy now for a couple of them because they're not really buy lows. Heading into the rest of your season down the stretch here, we're going to look at schedules. We're going to look at points per game the defense give up that they play against. We're going to look at a ton of things here. These are going to be the 5 guys that I like to buy, and one of them is going to be kind of sketched to you guys, but I'm really going to break down why I like it a lot. So before we dive into it, guys, make sure you tap that thumbs up button, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. I'll be live today around 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll just be doing some underdog drafts, DFS drafts, looking at some pick'ems and stuff like that for about an hour, maybe longer. So if you guys want to hop in there as well. And then if you guys haven't checked out drafters.com, I'll also be on Drafters as well tonight doing some DFS splashes. Make sure you sign up using promo code SLEAZE. And then if you haven't checked out the guys' FF Discord over there on the left side, both those are pinned in the comments and in the description of the video. Now let's dive into the 5 running backs you should be buying right now in fantasy football. And it also is dependent on your trade deadline. My leagues are mainly week 13 or week 14, so I like to do this every 3 weeks. So your league settings could be different, could be all year long, could be week 12, week 10. You never know how your settings are. So this is going to be a variation for everything. Now let's take a look. Starting off with the number 1 running back that I am trying to acquire every single place in fantasy football right now. Even in Dynasty, I'd throw a late pick out for Derrick the King Henry. Now he hasn't been the same as last year. This year, that's obvious, but you also had Lamar Jackson go down. And when you look at this, what's coming ahead for Derrick Henry, you might even be able to wait a week or 2 here as well, because they are going to get Minnesota and Cleveland for the next 2 games, which are 2 of the top 10 rundies. So that still doesn't phase me away from Derrick Henry, obviously, with this touchdown upside with Lamar being back. And I can't say it's really a buy low, because he had 19 points in week 8, found the end zone there as well 2 times. And then last week versus Miami in a super plus matchup, he only had 13.10, but he still had 100 plus yards rushing. So when you're looking at the buy here, you might have to actually pay, fair value for him here. But I am willing to pay the fair value and maybe even a little more to get King Henry down the stretch run here, because what people got to look at running backs as well is this is where it starts to get the cold time. This is where it starts to get the big boy bruising running backs where you take over and you start to dominate fantasy football. And there is no one better at that than King Henry. So when you're looking at his stats here, it hasn't been the King Henry year. 128 yards, 128 attempts, 629 yards, 4.91 yards per carry. I mean, last year he was at 5.91. That tells you a big difference. 6 touchdowns, 6 receptions, 46 receiving yards. Hasn't been great in the receiving game this year at all, which is crazy to me as well, which I think that's going to go up here. And snap share, 55.4%. Now it's time to unleash the beast. They've been saving him. This is the time he's going to hit the stretch run and dominate. Target share, again, very low, 4.9%. Red zone touches, 24, almost top 10 there. Still good. He's going to see a ton from here on out. And he's RB19. And you got to look at this guy rushed for 1,921 yards last year. He's only at 629 right now. And we're heading into week 10. So not the same King Henry production, but it is on the way. And let's talk about why here. So, like I said, you're going to get Minnesota and Cleveland, so pending your trade deadline in your league, you probably could wait a week or 2 here. His numbers may, probably be around 10, 12 points with touchdown upside, but if he pops a big one, obviously that's gone. So what you have to look at here is their schedule moving forward here and why he is going to win fantasy football championships. And you got to realize the Ravens, they're not done yet either at 3-5. I told you guys, do not count them out with 2 wins on the board, and here they come. So you're going to get Minnesota. You're going to get Cleveland. We talked about those. Then you get the Jets. Jets traded away Sauce Gardner. Jets traded away Quentin Williams. Their run D is going to be absolutely terrible. Then you get the Bengals, the worst team in football in week 13. And you get the Bengals in week 15 of your fantasy playoffs opening round, which he could just destroy and win you the first round by himself against the Bengals. Then you're going to get New England and Green Bay, which are tough. And then you're going to get Pittsburgh. So why you're buying King Henry here is not just, and good defenses don't scare me away from King Henry when Lamar Jackson is out there. But you're buying him for your playoff berth win to carry you over in week 15, because you're going to get Cincy, you're going to get the Jets, and you're going to get Cincy again. Those are three of the best run leads you can get. They could get you 3 wins by yourself with King Henry, and I am trying to buy him everywhere again because it is cold big boy bruiser time. Running back number 2, and I had him on here. I do this every 3 weeks. I had him on there in week 7, and here comes Travion Henderson. And now we've got Ramondre Stevenson with turf toe. And it's said grade 1, grade 2. Like, the updates are very sketchy on it. He hasn't practiced this week. I don't think he's going to be out there this week versus Tampa Bay. And I don't think he's going to be the same for the rest of the season here, stretch run, either way. So you're looking at, he's already looked great with 75% snaps last week, even though Terrell Jennings stole the touchdown at the 1-yard line to piss all of us Travion Henderson, truthers off. But this guy in the receiving game was immaculate last week with 32 yards and 4 catches. And he almost had 100 total yards in the game on 20 touches, right? So either way, with Terrell stealing that touchdown, that's fine. You're still going to get the opportunity to buy low and buy now either way. So you're going to get Tampa Bay this week, right? And Tampa Bay is going to be a very, very tough front run D, right? But where does Tampa struggle at versus the running back the most? They give up the most receiving yards to the running back in the NFL, the most points, the most touchdowns to the receiving back in the NFL. So they're not going to be hitting the tackles in this game. They're going to be hitting him in the pass game, and his explosive playmaking ability is ridiculous. So let's look at his stats here. So 67, and again, this is limited. Last week was his first game over 50% snaps the entire season against Atlanta. So 67 attempts, 283 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. He also leads the Patriots in rushing with 283. That is sad. That's how bad Ramondre Stevenson has been. 1 touchdown, 20 receptions, 231 through the air. That's the number you got to like right there. 0 touchdowns through the air. And then, of course, snap share 38.1%. He's been playing limited on the year, but he did play 75 last week, which is RB1 usage. So target share 9.7, number 21, red zone touches 11. Still not bad for a running back that hasn't been out there a lot. And then he's RB38 on the season. Now, here we go, okay? Get ready for this. So Tampa Bay, like I said, is going to be one of their tougher matchups here. Although, versus the running back, they do rank 26, but they are damn good in between the tackles, stopping the rushing yards, right? They're very low. They've only allowed 570 rushing yards, number 1, okay? Or I think Patriots are above them. I think they're number 2, okay? Now, then you get the Jets, and we just talked about that with Derrick Henry. They traded away Quentin Williams, their superstar DT, for a first and a second round pick. They traded away Sauce Gardner for 2 first round picks. They are fire selling that defense, and it is going to be a shit show stopping the running backs. Then you get the Bengals, ranked 32nd versus the running back. Then you get the New York Giants, who rank 31st versus the running back. So that's dead last and second to last. Then you get the Buffalo Bills, who rank 25th versus the running back. Then you get the Baltimore Ravens, who rank 29th versus the running back. And then you get the New York Jets again. Oh, my God. The matchup here for Travion Henderson and the Patriots running game going forward is number 1 in the NFL. And I am even willing to pay fair value or overpay to get him right now, because I do not think Ramondre Stevenson is going to get this job back. Number 3 is going to be Javonte Williams, and I know you guys are going to say he's RB6, but the opportunity right now is knocking at the door with a buy low opportunity, because if you're looking at week 9 versus Arizona when they lost on Monday Night Football, he only had 7.3 points, and now you have a week 10 bye, and now that team that maybe owns him, most of the teams that own him are probably higher in schedule rankings, but if there's, a standing that's lower with him and you're on a bye week and they're in a must win now situation, like if you have Breece Hall going versus Cleveland and say you're, 7-3 or 7-2, 8-1, 6-4, whatever it is, I would send Breece Hall right now for Javonte Williams going up against Cleveland, and then get Javonte for the stretch run when Breece Hall is not going to have that good of a stretch run here. So just an example there for Javonte Williams of how you can maneuver this around to get him, because it's not going to be an easy buy because he's been great, right? But it is a possible buy because of the situation of the buy that has happened, the bye week that is happening right now. And say that person needs a must-win opportunity, this is where you pounce on it. So obviously his stats are phenomenal. 136 yards, 136 attempts, 716 yards, 5.1 yards for carry. I mean, he's having a career best freaking year by a mile. It's not even close. 25 receptions. I thought that number would be higher. 93 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 8 touchdowns on the ground, 75% snap share. That's full RB1 usage. 10.6 target share, not bad. Red zone touches, he's number 4 at 36. It's phenomenal. And again, 155.9, he's RB6 on the season. Now, Coming off the bye, you're going to get the Las Vegas Raiders. That's a smash play. You're going to get the Philadelphia Eagles, who rank 23rd versus the running back. That's a smash play. You're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs, which is going to be one of the tougher matchups defensively versus the running back. Still, could be a shootout potential game with the Cowboys defense. Yeah, did they add Quinnen Williams, a nice piece there, and Logan as well for the D-line? That's going to help, but still their secondary is going to be toasted, right? So that's still a tough spot for me there. And the Chiefs, they rank 7th versus the running backs. You have a tough matchup there. Detroit, then they get Detroit. They rank 3rd, tough matchup there. And then you get the Minnesota Vikings, who rank 11th, and then you get the Chargers, who rank 16th. And then you get Washington in your championship, which if you make it to the championship, Javonte Williams is going to carry you home. And when I'm looking at these bad matchups, like say, Detroit and Kansas City, right, which are tough matchups versus the running back, you can't deny that. But you got to look at how the game script is going to play out with the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to have to score at will. Like, I don't care that they acquired the defensive pieces. And if you want to look at other bad matchups for like proof on this, let's go to Denver 2 weeks ago, week 8. He dropped 17.9 points, still found 2 touchdowns in a very tough matchup because that's what this offense has to do. Go to Green Bay in week 4, a top run D at the time. He dropped 20 points, found the end zone there. Philly week 1, 2 touchdowns, tough run D coming out the gates for Philly when they were starting the season. So he's like a Derrick Henry to me with the situation with the offense that the Cowboys have, that I don't care about the matchup with him because they're going to have to score so many points. And they just put, Jadon Blue, he got ruled out, or he's kind of like lost his handcuff job. Phil Maffa. So if you trade for Javonte Williams right now and say you have an extra bench spot, you could even get Phil Maffa, who's going to be the backup running back behind him coming out the bye, off the waiver wire for free. Go get Javonte Williams. Number 4, and I know you guys aren't going to like this one, but this one is really, really interesting to me because of the situation at hand for the Washington Commanders. So we know their running back room right now with Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt and Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez Jr. is not going to be great, right? And we also know that Jaden Daniels did survive the elbow injury, but he's probably still going to miss 2 to 3 weeks, and the Washington Commanders season is pretty much in the bag, right? So I know he hasn't been great since he's been named the guy. Bill C's and everybody in their shirts and stuff. The last 3 weeks, he's literally had 4 points, 2.5 points, and 5 points. He's also played the Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. The Dallas Cowboys, he should have ran over. That was a plus matchup that he missed on, so I'm mad about that one. But what you have to look at here, and we'll look at his stats first. So 94 attempts, 440 yards, 4.68 yards per carry. Not bad, but it's been really bad the past 3 weeks. He was a lot more explosive in the Charger game in week 5, which opened up his yards per carry to be more. 8 receptions, 63 yards. You'd like to see him get more receiving work, which I think is on the way, and we're going to get to that here in a second. Snap share 44.7. He played 46 and then 57 the week before, so right around where he's playing. At that, I believe, is going to go up to. Target share 5%. We talked about that going up. Red zone touches 10. Not bad there for limited work that he's had this season. And then total points, he's RB 30. Now, you could even wait a week on this if you wanted to as well, because you're going to get the Detroit Lions this week. And we know the Detroit Lions are going to be very, very nasty versus the run. And they're probably going to get a game script where they're ahead. And Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt hasn't been involved in receiving it, but I think he's going to get more involved. But I still don't like him that much this week. I like him after this week. But I do these videos every 3 weeks, so we're going to talk about why. Now, you are going to get Detroit this week, like I said. So you could even wait a week and let him get smashed and let him get 5-6 points or however it goes, and then go get him next week as well. Because then you're going to get the Miami Dolphins next week, who we know is the worst run D across the board, and they just traded away Jaden Phillips to make it even worse. And then you're going to get the bye, and then you're going to get Denver. So Denver, even Genty scored on them this week, but it's still going to be a tough matchup there. Then you get Minnesota, going to be a tough matchup there. But I am buying him for the playoff stretch that is the absolute best in fantasy football. And you have to think, with the Commanders season, are they really going to look at Jeremy McNichols or Chris Rodriguez, or are they going to give the keys to their rookie that they want to see what the future is made of in Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, Bill? I think that's what's going to happen. That is why I'm trying to buy Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. And when you look at the playoff schedule, guys, you get the New York Giants, an opening week, 31st versus the running back. Week 15. Week 16, you get Philly, 23rd versus the running back. Another great matchup. Week 17, you get the Dallas Cowboys, 30th versus the running back. He has the best playoff schedule. and I am banking on them giving the keys to Bill with the season being over. And this is a very, very cheap buy low you can get right now because that owner is probably panicked and pissed, and I'm trying to acquire him for the playoff stretch 100%, and a nice play next week in week 11 as well versus Miami. Last but not least, the biggest of them all, and it is a massive gamble because we do not know what is going on with this foot and shoulder, and he didn't practice again today. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Bucky has been out, and they are coming off a bye, so it's even more sketch. But guys, you have to look at this situation, and you know that owner is probably in shambles because they probably spent a late first or early second round pick on him, and their team is hurting. There's really nothing you can do to survive losing a first round pick, you know, in very competitive leagues, in my opinion. Like, you just get toasted. So we have to look at this here. You got to pay attention to this ridiculous why to buy Bucky Irving here. So throw the stats out. We know he hasn't played, since week 4, but he also had, look at how good he was playing, and he was getting full RB1 usage at 70+% snaps when he was out there. 14 points, 18 points, 13 points, 30 points, right? But then he misses the 4-5 weeks, and I'm about to miss another week, it looks like here. But guys, this is beautiful, and it is a gamble. We do not know how his health is going to be. Could he be out for the season? We don't know, right? So this is just a very, very big gamble that I'm willing to take right now, because I do think the Bucs fighting for their playoff spot is going to bring Bucky back, right? So week 10, this is going to be a tough matchup versus New England on the ground, but he's not going to be out there, I don't think. So we're going to throw that out the window. Guys, you have to look at the rest of this. It's so good. It's crazy. Week 11, you get the Buffalo Bills. They rank 25th versus the running back. Week 12, you are going to get the Rams, who are damn good, number 1 versus the running back, but they do give up a lot of passing yards. Not a lot, but a decent amount of passing yards. And I think Bucky's still relevant in that game, regardless if it becomes a shootout. And then from there on out, it is pure gold. You only have one tough matchup left from week 11 on with the LA Rams. Then you get the Arizona Cardinals in week 13. The Arizona Cardinals versus the running back right now. They rank 14th, right in the middle of the pack. So not a plus, not a minus matchup, but still he's going to thrive. Then you get the Saints. The Saints rank 20th. Then you get Atlanta. Atlanta ranks 24th. Then you get Carolina, who just got absolutely destroyed, and their run game is getting cooked every single week. But they haven't given up touchdowns. So if you look at the Panthers, they do rank, 18th versus the running back, but they've given up 872 yards. So that's the number you're looking at there. Then you get Miami in the fantasy championship. What? You get the worst run defense in the fantasy football championship. You get the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons and the Saints and the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills. Give me all the Bucky Irving I could get. That schedule is pure goddamn gold. We just need this guy to come back. And again, it is a very risky buy, but that owner's got to be panicked and pissed off by now. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the 5 running backs I would be targeting right now today in fantasy football heading down the stretch. I'm going to drop into my wide receiver videos next. We're going to get into wide receiver buys, and then we're going to look at 10 players that I would stash from here on out that could help you down the fantasy football season or down the stretch that I think are going to have great upside potential, guys. Now, if you guys haven't already, on your way out, tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button, and turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. And if you guys have any questions, comments, as always, drop them down below. I try to answer every single one of them. And if you haven't checked out drafters.com or the guys FF Discord, both those are pinned in the comments and in the description of the video. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Do my wide receivers probably a little later today. Sleazebomb out.